Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to episode 2 of On the Block podcast. Today seems to be a little bit of a red day. Doesn't really concern me, although it sucks. And this always happens, and I'm sure you guys have the same thing that when you buy, right? Whenever you put in your DCA, your average amount that you're putting in, the price always goes down. It always goes down. So what I do typically when I have money to put into crypto, I don't put all of it in. I'll put the majority in just because I don't like the feeling of having to decide when to put it in, because I don't know if it's going to go up. I don't know if it's going to go down. In my experience, if I don't go in, it goes down. If I go in, if I don't go in, it goes up. And then if I go in, it goes down, which you're not going to time the market unless you're like a hardcore trader and you might get lucky. You're not going to do it. You're just not. So what I do is I put the bulk in, and then I keep a little bit on the sidelines, and then wait for prices like these to come down, and then reposition. So I might buy a little bit more XRP, because I bought some XRP at 63 cents, and that kind of hurt right here. I'm sure you guys feel it, but in the grand scheme of things, we're gonna be talking about how we were buying XRP at 63 cents, and that was cheap. So, it's a give and take. But there's no big news that's really driving this. It's just the crypto market doing crypto market things. Often it goes down, but you'll see that we held. So I think before the overall bull run, we were at somewhere like 515 billion. We had earlier we had went up to almost 585 and then dropped down to that, and now we're back up. We went back up to close to 600 billion. I think we got into the 590 billion range. So now we're down to 565 billion. Nothing to be really concerned about. Everything seems to be up. I had to double check there and make sure that I'm on USD, because often I'll change that, because as you know, I'm Canadian. I talk a lot in USD though. So a lot of my prices, I usually speak in USD. But sometimes it kind of hurts me when I'm trying to convert crypto to my native currency. And then, I'm stuck on talking about US dollar size currency. Speaking of, just on a side note, with the Canadian dollar and the US dollar pair is at its lowest since 2017. So we're getting to that point. I think the last time that the US dollar and the Canadian dollar were 1-to-1 was back at the 2008 financial crisis. So if we see something significant happen in the stock market, like I think it's going to happen, we might end up seeing the dollar valuation go way down, and that could happen regardless of what the stock market does anyway, because you see what the Federal Reserve is doing in terms of pumping more and more dollars and stimulus in, and with a Biden administration, that only means that more stimulus is going to enter in. Hopefully, who knows what's going to happen depending on what happens with Georgia. Whether or not that goes to red or blue, that could impact how the Senate handles certain things, so it could hinder a stimulus plan. I do think that one bonus to, if the Republicans do get Georgia and maintain control, the stock market will probably trade sideways for a little bit. It'll be some sense of security, because the thing that the stock market likes is things not to change. So a deadlocked government is one of the best things for the stock market. You can look into it. This isn't like a political view or anything. I'm not advocating for one or the other. I think in terms of stimulus going out, obviously it going blue, Georgia going blue would help that on a little bit. But is that a good thing? I don't know. It's still more printing of money into a very broken system. I can't imagine that more fiat in the system is going to solve overall problems. It's more likely going to be something that we end up paying for, and probably a lot sooner than we think. World War II, obviously, countries were in debt for decades even. And I think this is going to be comparable, where the governments are in so much debt that taxpayers are going to have to pay that back at some point. Sorry. Some lighter news, other than the impending collapse of fiat currency and the wealth gap increasing to the point where we've never seen before. On to some good news. Talking about Brian Brooks, the chair of the SEC, he's come out and made some statements saying that we can expect clarity within the next 6 to 8 weeks coming in for cryptocurrency. He seems to be really in the mindset this is going to happen by near the end of the Trump administration. So hopefully before Trump leaves office and then the new administration comes in, I'm hoping that that's set in stone before there's any sort of transition. That way there's no backing out, nothing. It's just done. So let's hope that Brian Brooks can get this done in the next coming days. I think overall this is good news for us. So what I'm going to do is we're just going to switch over. We're going to take a little bit of a look at the video here of Brian Brooks and the SEC on CNN. I can't remember what CNN show. Squawk Box. So we're going to take a look at the Squawk Box and we will discuss it.
Bitcoin is back. It's hovering around $19,000, near a record. What's behind the rally, and is a crackdown coming? We're joined by Brian Brooks, acting comptroller of the currency. Brian, thanks so much for joining us. I want to first start off by asking you about a tweet that your former boss at Coinbase, the CEO, Brian Armstrong, sent out last week. And he said that the Treasury could be, quote, planning to rush out some new regulation regarding self-hosted crypto wallets before the end of the term. Is that true?
Yeah, look, Melissa, rumors abound in Bitcoin more than almost any other place. What I would tell you is we're very focused on getting this right. We're very focused on not killing this. And it's equally important that we develop the networks behind Bitcoin and other cryptos as it is that we prevent money laundering and terrorism financing. So believe me, there's a balance here and it's going to work for everybody.
So that's neither a yes or no answer to that. Should we be expecting some new regulations by the end of the Trump term?
I think you're going to see a lot of good news for crypto by the end of the Trump term. Some of it's going to have to do with banks connecting to blockchain. Some of it's going to be more clarity around the nature of these assets. So believe me, there's going to be very positive messages coming out. At the same time, it's a dangerous world out there. We have to be honest about that. But nobody's going to ban Bitcoin. Nobody's going to ban some of these transmission technologies. I think it's going to be a lot less bad than people were worried about.
In terms of the impact of the Biden administration, Janet Yellen has said that in the past that she's no fan of cryptocurrency. How should investors, particularly crypto investors, piece together who Biden has appointed so far in his team and where crypto could be going during his term?
Here's the funny thing about America is what matters more than what any given president or Treasury Secretary thinks about something is what people want. So remember, the taxi cab commissioners of America hated Uber and did everything they could to keep it out. But America's wanted it, and it's here to stay. It's the same thing with Bitcoin. We've gotten to a point where adoption's too widespread, the technology's too important, the need for the currency and store of value is too important for it to go away. So I'm not too worried about that.
Hey, Brian, it's good to have you on. So in the past, we had Secretary Mnuchin on, and I swear this is one of our, in terms of Twitter exploding, he talked about money laundering and sort of the nefarious uses of Bitcoin, et cetera, and all of his concerns. And I asked him, well, I remember at the time, I didn't know it was going to be that profound, but I said, in the history of the world, and all we know about money laundering and drug cartels and everything that's ever been done, it's all been done with fiat money in cash. And now there's Bitcoin, which is new, and they keep saying, oh, no, it's going to be used for blah. I mean, it's never been a problem to launder money and to do nefarious things using the existing system. So why is that an appropriate sort of a red herring that we always hear?
Look, there's a thing in the world called behavioral psychology, and it tells us we have a whole bunch of biases that we're not even aware of. And the answer is we have something called status quo bias. We think the status quo is safe no matter what it is, and we think whatever is different is dangerous. Those of us who are on the technology vanguard kind of get that, and what we understand is the same risks that have always existed will keep existing, but we'll have amazing new applications, incredible friction-free futures, and all of that stuff. There will always be bad guys, and no matter what technology we have, they will be there. The question is, are we going to sacrifice all the benefits of the future because we're so wedded to the past? I don't think Americans are going to do that. And that's why Bitcoin is where it is and why market volumes are what they are. People have finally adopted at scale, and we have to adapt to that.
Yeah, I think the money laundering argument and the nefarious use that's like one of the worst arguments against crypto and crypto adoption. But Brian, I wanted to follow up on the point you made in terms of you think good things are coming by the end of the Trump term for cryptocurrency. Are you in the camp who believes that more regulation in cryptocurrency will be a good thing overall for the industry?
Yeah, look, I wouldn't say more regulation. This is not like your breakfast cereal box where it talks about weight, not volume. I don't think we need 50 regulations instead of 2. But what we do need is clarity about what's allowed. And so we need some guidance, for example, about whether banks can connect directly to blockchains as payment networks. The answer has to be yes, right? We needed answers about, can banks custody cryptocurrency so that institutions felt comfortable adopting? And you saw what happened when we gave that clarity. So you have clarity across a variety of areas that I think you'll be seeing just in the next 6 to 8 weeks, which will make it easier for crypto investors to know how to invest, to know how institutions can be in this asset class. And those are the things that are driving prices at this point. You know, it may have been a bubble 2 years ago, but with more clarity, institutions that see this as a real thing are going to adopt at scale, which they've already started to do. So stay tuned.
More insights on the house.
Okay, so realistically, there's a lot to break down in that video. Just to kind of recap, so a couple of things that he had mentioned, Brian Brooks, and you hear money laundering and anti-terrorist funding laws. These are regulations brought out by major countries, usually like UK, Canada, America, and any other like major established country. Usually, any country typically has some sort of anti-money laundering and anti-terrorist funding laws, which essentially means you have to know your customer and you have to do your due diligence as a business to make sure that you're not intaking funds from someone laundering money from, say, illicit activities, any sort of illicit activities, or somebody funding terrorism via bank transfers. So like I personally work in the realm of insurance, and I don't do anything specific with insurance. But I do work within that realm, and I know enough to, when I deal with regulations and when I deal with Canadian legislation, that anti-money laundering is a big thing. And for a lot of businesses to start custodying crypto and having these cryptocurrencies, you really don't have, you're not able to do so in a good way that adequately puts you in a safe position from not having money laundering. Now, that's, I think, is going to be something that we alleviate over time. Obviously, as we more understand the blockchain and how everything works, we know now, and we've known this all along, or anyone that really understood the technology of Bitcoin, know that you can go back and you can track these transactions. You can find certain things that are happening now, and we see people getting charged with, drug-related transfers. And sure, the dark web, I think, has seen, decrypted an article on this today. The dark web has seen like some of the best profits that they've seen ever in 2020. Who knows why that really is? Could it just be because these illicit people that are taking a payment in Bitcoin are hodling? I get hold. I was trying to say hold and then just hodl. Just wanted to come out. They were hodling. Maybe. Who knows? I'm not exactly sure. But there is, without a doubt, 100% cryptocurrencies today are being used for illegal activities. That's not a doubt in my mind. But also, US dollar and any other general currency is most likely going to be used in the same way. The worst part of any other currency, and to go to I don't know his name. He's this guy, so I'm not sure of his name. I know he's like anti-Bitcoin. Chamath has talked to him before, and he's had some interesting things to say. And it's funny that he now repurposes this. I think Pompliano had said something. Oh, no. I think Pompliano made a different point. Anyway, it's funny that he puts this position of like, oh, well, there's that red herring that the US dollar is used for illicit activities since the start. Well, yeah, that's one part of it. But you also can't track the US dollar like you can track something on the blockchain. So if you were an FBI agent, what would you rather a criminal use for illicit activities? Would you rather them use fiat currencies or Bitcoin when you have someone that understands how to read the ledger, essentially, understands how to dig through these transactions? What would you rather them use? You'd rather them use the Bitcoin every single time, because at least then you have some clue of who this person is. Or you can double down. This is exactly how they found actually, no, this isn't maybe I don't know. They found the guy from the Silk Road, and I'm sure they tracked his Bitcoin from somewhere. I know they actually arrested him in a library or something with the Silk Road open as he was logged into his main account. But anyway, the whole point is criminals are going to find any way to exchange payment. That's just how it works. That's never going to stop, no matter if it's Bitcoin, USD, Zcash, gold. It could be anything. It really could be. So this is more of an issue of having the legislations in place. Know your customer. Any reputable exchange or wallet will typically have you upload your license and potentially have you upload more information like your SIN number or some sort of utility bill to prove that you live in a certain place. So there's a lot of regulations that go through to make sure that businesses comply with that. I don't think that's up to the cryptocurrency itself to comply. I think it's the businesses that are receiving the crypto that need to apply those same laws that if they were receiving USD. They wouldn't just take USD from a random person that didn't pass any underwriting test, and then you just look, oh, well, he has tons of money, so your business is good here. That just doesn't happen, right? So it comes down to that. Of course, we're going to have Colombian cartels who use cryptocurrency. It's a more efficient way of offering payment. It's the same way as we would see coffee shops doing cryptocurrency. It's just quicker, easier, faster. So of course they're going to use it. Now, the downside is that this makes them more susceptible and more we are able to track these bad actors a little bit better. But with the Colombian cartel, and there's ways around it, with the Colombian cartel, you never know what they're up to. They have goddamn submarines, and you're coming to me and saying crypto is the problem. The Colombian cartel literally has submarines and will we don't even know how many. We just got one. We got one of their submarines full of $25 million of heroin. And I'm sure that's one out of 50 different routes that they have coming into the United States. To even bring in crypto as this is what the bad actors are going to be using. Well, yeah, because everyone else will be using it too. So yeah, that makes complete sense to me. Do I like it? No, obviously I don't. But at the same time, there's, we need to get rid of the Colombian cartel. But how we do that is a bigger issue, and it's not a discussion for cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is not solving that problem. It's solving much bigger financial problems of the corrupt banking structure that we have in finance right now. A couple of good things about regulations, and this tweet actually came out before the SEC did anything, or Brian Brooks made that statement. But Raul Paul is, shifting his eyes over to XRP, as we see. I gave him a little tweet here saying, "Welcome to the party, Raul." I love what he says here because it makes so much sense. So he originally tweets, XRP, love it, hate it. Find out more, and then he hits his Twitter. I haven't seen the episode yet. I was looking for it, but I think maybe it goes out to his subscribers first, and then it comes out on YouTube. But I'll wait diligently for that, because obviously Raul, in my opinion, has been more of a maximalist. But now it's kind of looking that he's seeing the light and realizing that there's real investment value in a cryptocurrency that is actually has force, has businesses building on top of it and actively fighting for regulation. And that's businesses like Ripple and like Flare Networks. And to be fully transparent, we all know that Flare Networks is funded by Ripple. It's not owned by Ripple, but it is Ripple money that is funding Flare. And Flare, if you guys don't know, just as a reminder, it's bringing that Ethereum smart contract capability to the XRP ledger. And I suspect, personally, if we go down the Flare route, I think we're going to see, because I dabbled in Uniswap when DeFi started going on its decline, just to learn what Uniswap and a DEX was. And a decentralized exchange is the future, but the problem with Uniswap is the gas fees were too high. It takes too long to finish trades and close trades, whereas like Binance, you can close a trade instantly at your strike price once it hits down. But with Uni, you're waiting on the processing time, and then you have your gas fees. It doesn't seem feasible, right? So I don't think it's sustainable long term, at least not as Ethereum is now. 2.0 might change that, so who knows? But right now, I see it just being stagnant. But putting that kind of technology, like a decentralized exchange, which Flare has said is going to happen, putting that capability, the XRP ledger, with the very, very small transaction fees and very quick settlement time, that could skyrocket a DEX. Like a good DEX with a good UI will absolutely dominate. And I don't think exchanges like Binance, Kraken, and all these other exchanges will hold up to a savvy crypto investor. Maybe the retail investors, and maybe like people that don't want to do their research and move off of a DEX and custody their own crypto, they might not. But for people that do want to, and then provide liquidity on top of that into the DEX, it could be a very lucrative thing, and it could have very minimal fees. So I see the future of Flare and XRP is huge. So he goes on to retweet this tweet because he received so much hate, and I don't know what it is. I'm telling you right now, I feed on maxi tiers. Oh, I love it. Oh my god, just now I own Bitcoin. I like Bitcoin. Bitcoin's going places. It's obviously going places. But if you tell me, and I've heard this so many times, Bitcoin's going to be the world reserve currency, it's not. No, there's no chance of that happening. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't settle fast enough. It's a great store of value. But other than that, I'm not going to wait an hour for my Bitcoin to trade to buy a coffee. That's not going to happen. You can't do that. The only way to do that is to arbitrage that Bitcoin with something like, yeah, you got it, XRP. So, will Bitcoin be the reserve currency? I mean, maybe a wrapped Bitcoin on the XRP ledger, Flare wrapped coins coming out, right? So just saying, will Bitcoin be it? No. Will a wrapped Flare Bitcoin possibly be it with the small fees? But hey, I'm not a financial advisor or anything, so don't take my advice. I'm just an idiot with a camera on YouTube, so please don't. Oh, wow, this podcast is going places. Anyway, he retweets, when people tell me not to do something, I will maybe do it. And if too many people tell me something is a shit investment, I'll start to do my homework. That's so important. That's because this is exactly what I went through when I went into XRP. And when I started, and I'm going to tell you now because everything's high, right? The prices are all up, and the prices are going to continue going up, I suspect. But right now, if you buy and you're just starting your crypto journey, essentially, and you're DCAing in and you're not FOMOing a big amount, which you probably shouldn't do, just saying, not financial advice, but that's too much risk for me. But if you are dollar cost averaging in, you're probably in the negative because you've been dollar cost averaging and it's been high and you're going down, and that's obvious. And when I first got into XRP at the beginning of the year, essentially I think I got in it would have been like end of March. Would have been just around lockdown, because I got into Bitcoin in March. And shortly thereafter, I went into XRP and realized that there was really some value there, comparative to Bitcoin. Now, I love crypto. And like I said, and I'm going to say it again, I'm not a one coin person. I love all coins. I have DOT. I have ADA, I have some FET, I'm just trying to spread as much as I can while keeping the bulk of my investments to the major operators, right? So the big things that I invest in, number one is XRP, and then after that, it goes to Bitcoin, Ethereum, then Cell Token, just because I scored lucky with Cell Token right before it shot off. So, Cell Token is now one of my top coins. And then after that, it goes into a slew of others, but all reputable projects. I don't go into anything that is overtly risky. And if somebody totes something online, and I see it a lot where somebody will say like, oh, hey, like, yeah, go buy this crypto. Look at this market cap. It's super small. And then you go to the crypto and you go to the website and you find out that they're part of that crypto project, that YouTuber, but they didn't say anything. Not saying any names. I'm just, it seems a little shady to me if you're pumping your project and you're not mentioning that you're part of the project. So, but yeah, I completely agree. I think if people are hating on something as vigorously as people have hated on XRP, probably means that you should look into it and see what is XRP. Could it be a threat? Could that be why? Now, do I think that XRP is a threat to Bitcoin? No, I absolutely don't. I think Bitcoin will and probably always will be the best store of value, outpacing gold and everything else. I even think like long term, if we look, decades, even hundreds of years after this event, I think we're going to look at Bitcoin as a more secure store of value than gold will ever be. Just mathematics is how this works, right? So it's limited in its supply. It will never get more than 21 million Bitcoin. Same thing with XRP. It'll never have more than 45 billion XRP, or 100 billion if you count the escrow, right? And the escrow is being released and managed by Ripple. Not a big deal when you count the fact that, some Bitcoin holders hold the majority of the Bitcoin. It's not that big of a deal. And when you talk about an American company, Ripple, compared to Chinese companies, which I have no problem with any country. So I just want to put that out there, except for some questionable things that are happening in China. But I think, we should try to keep the boom and the control of the cryptocurrency within North America. I would appreciate that as a North American myself, and how close our economies are intertwined, or at least used to be before, the whole border thing. But the future is looking bright. So yeah, we're going to be around for a while. So we might as well be the ones leading the charge into the cryptosphere. I think so. But hey, I'm just some guy talking into a camera. Well, why would you believe me? So Flare put out a quick visual guide, and I know we went through some of this before, so I'm just going to link this down below, but this is just like a heads up to you guys again. Here's the PDF. I linked it in the video before, actually the last On the Block podcast. So here you are. I'm going to link this. I believe this just came out 2 days ago. Yeah, November 28th. So quick read. And again, the snapshot's going to be on 12/12/20. It's weird. Why do you guys do that? Why do you guys do that? Why can't you be normal? Huh? Because Canada, I'm going to show you how easy this is. Canada, 22, 20. Actually, hold on. 12. Right? So we go year, month, day. Oh, it's in order. That's crazy. Listen, I love my Canadian or my American friends and my neighbors. I really do. Even though I think you guys are batshit fucking crazy for not using the metric system. Just saying. You guys are weird. I love talking in USD when I'm talking Bitcoin, but you guys are weird. Why, why do you count things in Fahrenheit? What's wrong with you? I don't get it. Okay, anyway, that's my rant. Either way, snapshot date. Make sure that you are ready. Make sure you're on a supporting exchange. If you're not already, you really should be. There's a lot of supporting exchanges. Actually, a funny tweet that was out there. It was, what's the percentage of non-supporting exchanges, or who are the non-supporting exchanges? And it was 100% Coinbase. Which Coinbase, to talk about Coinbase really quick, Coinbase holds 3 billion XRP. And I had tweeted this. I'm not going to hunt down the tweet, but I had tweeted about this, that, I'm okay if Coinbase wants to step back on this one, right? Because that 3 billion gets redistributed to everyone else that is participating in the Flare airdrop, which means that we all get, more XRP. I don't know what happens with like Jed McCaleb's XRP, like the Flare, or Spark, I should say. I don't know exactly what happens with that. Is that getting distributed, or is that getting burned? I know they're not going to have like the other 45 billion. They're just going to have the 45 billion initial. Interesting to think about. I'm not exactly sure if we're going to get more, but if Coinbase doesn't participate, that does mean that we get 3 billion on top of whatever else is not participating. So I'm okay with it, kind of, just saying. I think the moral of the story here is just don't use Coinbase. I tweeted about that too, because like, really, why? If I totally get it if you're new to crypto, but in terms of like making your money work for you, there's so many different wallets and better wallets to be able to gain interest on your crypto, gain bonuses, right? You don't need to do anything like, I don't know. You don't have to provide liquidity on a decentralized exchange to risk volatility of some trading pair with the newest shitcoin. But you could just put it into a wallet where you're probably going to get an average of 5 to 8%. Is typically what I've seen. My Ethereum gets about 5.5% Ethereum APY in Celsius app. And then Nexo, if you're an XRP holder, like recently, I used to be like I'm still super bullish on Celsius. I think Celsius is a unicorn company. If Celsius ever IPO'd, I definitely invest in them. I think that they're going places. I like their platform. I don't so much like that everything isn't fleshed out, but they're still a growing company, so I'm okay with things like that for the interim. For anyone holding my money or my value, I really expect a very tight, clean interface, right? A good UI, some good security settings, and I require you to be following legislation requirements in wherever you're operating, so I know that my funds inside your organization aren't at risk by some seizure of some government, right? Now, of course, you shouldn't keep all your crypto on one place, but just saying. But with Celsius, it's been great. But Nexo is really, really focused on the XRP community, which is why I've kind of driven more of my focus to Nexo, at least in terms of like my XRP position. I'd rather have my XRP with an organization that actually appreciates it for what it is, rather than just getting 3.6 APY. And if you don't think 1.4 APY is that big of a deal, because Nexo gives 5%, base 5%, you don't need token for 5%, so get that out of your mind. But Celsius gives 3.61, right? So 1.4% is a decent amount. 1.4% is a lot, especially when we're talking about inflation, and especially when we're talking about compound interest, right? You're gaining interest on your XRP right now as it is, and then that XRP is going to grow. So it's almost like you're gaining interest in the future, right? Imagine in 5 years from now, your XRP hedge is, multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you're gaining interest, but all the interest that you gained prior to that, back when it was, down to 63 cents, all that interest just goes with it, right? It grows with the coin, right? So You got to keep that in mind. If you're just using Coinbase, right, something that's notoriously going down during big volatility spikes, whether it goes up or down, so you don't have complete access to your funds when you need it, probably the most. If we go into a parabolic run, you need to be ready to sell at least a little bit, right? If we go way up there, say Bitcoin hits 318,000, XRP hits $100, everything's super euphoric. Are you going to hodl? You're probably going to sell a little bit. You have to. And there's nothing wrong with taking a little bit of profit. There absolutely is nothing wrong with that. But being on a platform like Coinbase that's notorious for going down in certain situations, it's just not a safe thing to do. Don't do it. I wouldn't keep anything or everything on one exchange anyway. I have things on hardware wallets. I have things on exchanges. Not a lot on exchanges. I don't like to keep a lot on exchanges. The only things that I keep on exchanges typically are anything that I can't easily custody myself. Everything's generally easy, but things that I'm too lazy to custody myself, it's like a couple $100 of this coin or whatever. Or just things that I want to be ready to make quick trades. So sometimes I'll keep Ethereum on my Binance account just because Ethereum's a good trading pair and I can typically buy anything with it. So, but moral of the story, just don't use Coinbase. Just, it's okay to use it, but like, go get Celsius, man. Go down in the description, get that code, get $20 for you when you deposit $200. I get $20 when you deposit $200. It's great all around. So if you go down, click on either the Celsius link or any of the referral links down there, support the channel, please. Absolutely. And then actually make money on that. You're gonna make way more on that than you will Coinbase any day of the week, because Coinbase gives you nothing. It's the equivalent of putting it into a fiat savings account and then getting nothing for it but the average movement of the currency, right? If you're in USD, it's going down. If you're in crypto, it's probably going up, but you could have the icing on top. Food for thought. Just to wrap it up, to kind of enhance that push for utility. I think this is great that Cuba is getting onto Bitcoin adoption, which I think is super interesting because Cuba was I wonder how they came to this realization that they wanted to go the route of crypto, because ever since the Cuban Missile Crisis and them being basically disconnected from the rest of the world, there's amazing documentaries on Cuba, how they smuggled in movies, or how they re-engineered basically the cars that they had because they couldn't ever get new imported cars, so they just kept rebuilding the cars that they already had. They had their own internet system that was completely made by the individual. It's crazy. It's wild. So I'm really kind of curious how crypto kind of got its stronghold in Cuba. I kind of suspect that what happens a lot when you prohibit something. So often, like Cuba, you're essentially prohibiting them from getting anything from the outside. There's always going to be a way, and things are going to always find a way. And typically that goes through illicit activities. And if you look at when prohibition happened in the United States, when they did alcohol prohibition, well, what happened? We got Al Capone, and we got this huge crime organization basically propped up by the legal status of alcohol. And that was it. Just that alone created an empire. So I can only imagine what kind of a stronghold that Bitcoin has within Cuba. Western Union is another really interesting one, because Brad Garlinghouse in the last meeting with CNN had mentioned, or he was asked about Western Union, and then he didn't answer, but he didn't decline and say that they're not a partner. He just said that we can't talk about who is and who isn't a partner because we respect their privacy, or something along those lines. But there's so much evidence that now Western Union is using RippleNet, right? It makes complete sense that they're using it, and they see that the SWIFT system isn't going to work, and they see RippleNet as a direct threat to their business. So my rule in business, you adapt or you die, and that's basically it. So Western Union to cease operations in Cuba this month, which is, that's why. So Americans are sending remittances back home. And I know down in South America, Venezuela specifically has really adopted the mining of Bitcoin. So I wonder if other South American countries have kind of influenced this, but I know Cuba's been pretty isolated for a while, but I don't know how much interaction they get with. Yeah, okay, so there's mention here. So most Cubans do prefer to hold U.S. dollar, either digital or physical, like many Venezuelans do. Which, yeah, that's true. A lot of Venezuelans now hold USD. There was some shady stuff with their president who's still in power, which baffles me. He essentially was giving a good US dollar exchange rate to the filthy rich, and then everyone else had to pay the retail rate, which was hundreds of thousands in their native currency compared to $10 in their native currency. Pretty big discrepancy there. So I feel like the people of Venezuela definitely feel that they had the rug pulled from under them and given no opportunity essentially to have wealth, right? It was all basically stolen from them, which you see why a lot of them are now coming into Bitcoin. Makes sense. Well, I'm going to wrap up the podcast there. Obviously, it's a red day, but it seems like such bullish news. I feel like everything's just happening so quick. But these little, downturns and consolidations, it's no big deal. It's all going up in the end, I think. Hey, hi, kitty. But that's it for me, guys. Go ahead and give me a like on the podcast. I'd really appreciate it. Helps the algorithm, helps the YouTube channel grow. And I'd really like to push this channel and have it be successful. Go ahead and give me a comment. What do you think of the podcast? Or do you have any additions? Do you want to fight me? Do you want to fight me on XRP? Let me have it. Give me your best maxi argument to why XRP is going to zero and Bitcoin is going to be the world reserve currency. Or at least give me a moderate argument. I don't care. Whatever. If you have something that you want to argue with me about, more than happy. Just go ahead and post that in the comments below. And lastly, guys, please hit that subscribe button. Subscribe to the channel. Thank you, everyone, for your time, and happy hodling.